Ayo.
Welcome to Benchwarmers, a WOSO podcast, episode 34. 34. I don't have a number right now,
Neither
to
do
be
I. I was
fair.
looking
Jesus, it's
before.
such a
No
shambles
one.
number. Holy moly.
I actually think it'd
That
be like
is
a nice football number though. I don't know. It just kind of,
interesting. Like what?
yeah.
Just because threes and fours? Well, I mean, it just has to be like a center half. Like 34 is such a terrible. Like I can't even think of like even Menso players that have like it's not nothing off the top of my head. Any like sport 34. There's no famous 34s in any
Ooh.
sport. There's,
I'm
like
trying to think
I'm
in men's
struggling
though.
here. Absolutely nothing in my head. I mean, it's pretty poor from you that I think Granit Xhaka is number 34.
Oh, yes,
But
that's true.
yeah,
Yes,
that's poor from you. But
that is poor for me.
yeah, that's all I've got. I mean, Granit Xhaka, a leader, a legend, not, well, I mean, actually a legend of Arsenal, but it's good. We are going to start with Arsenal. We're going to start with the Champions League semi-final first legs. This is the big dancers. That's why these four kits are straight up. It's the best of the best in the biggest times and the biggest stages. And I think we had some pretty good games here. I think they weren't necessarily like the highest in quality, but the intensity, the energy, the aura in both stadiums for both games was so good. But we're going to start with Arsenal and Lyon. We're not going to go in chronological order because I just think it's more important to talk about the chaos, the absolute energy that was going on at the Emirates, the lineup, the 11s that you saw coming out. What were you thinking, Allegra?
I 100% thought that we were in this game. I was really underwhelmed with Leon's starting 11. I don't know whether it was because of game management. I don't know whether it was because of injury. I just expected them to be a bit more attacking in the lineup. I was a bit underwhelmed by the midfield as well. I don't really rate Schrader, Heaps, and Johannes a yank midfield. That must be a first in European football. But it was interesting. We did call that Jule Brand would start and do well in this game till
Well,
she
you did. I thought there was a obvious like choice in the fact that I thought that Chawinga and De
mm,
Mornay, who are both injured, yes, both
yeah.
injured as said, were not in the lineup. I did think it was a surefire win then. I wish I saw the lineup and changed my prediction on Champions League. I would have 100% changed it. The triple midfield, I think it was the right decision based on trying to basically isolate each of your midfielders collectively and try and beat them for athleticism. But again, athleticism is a lot of the sport, but not all of the sport. And this game kind of showed that
Mm.
identity and quality of ideas from a manager will beat beat technical that technical brilliance will beat the ability to hold onto the ball from a physical athletic standpoint. I think there are players that you have that aren't necessarily faster, but looked faster on the pitch, especially in pockets of the first half. I think you were unlucky to not facilitate better chances with the control of possession that you had in earlier stages of the game. Obviously, they evened it out later on and they ended up with the big moment of the half. I mean, obviously, Lilia Harness, amazing assist for the crappy Jule Brand goal. I mean, nah, it was
Wow.
personal, and we did say it. We did call it. We did say Jule Brand is here for the big moments, the Chloe Kelly of the
Mm.
Arkema. And I think she took that moment very, very well. I think there was a lot to be desired from the backtracking from Arsenal, which you've been
Yeah.
pretty good at all year in the sense of like Little being on the back foot, Mariona being able to run box to box. I don't know if this was Mariona's best game, but also I think they were so hyper fixated on making sure that Mariona couldn't take control of this game that it allowed Kim Little to do what she usually does against Lyon, which is be that physical presence, that barometer. I think your backline held up really strong after the goal. I
Hmm.
clearly was like a good team talk there. Leah Williamson deciding like that it's one goal. It doesn't matter. We're gonna get back in this game. And then it was just hitting Lyon on the counter time and time and time again. And I think that's ultimately like where I thought Giraldes like has the one up. This is his thing. Like he can deal with the counters. He can deal with teams going at them like barraging and on away visitor moments, being able to deal with the home ground advantage of a packed out Emirates. But the reality was that that right side of yours, with Russo kind of channeling the right side instead of the left this game, and having Smith and Fox absolutely terrorizing Jule Brand, Johannes, and Sophie Svava, was probably the difference in this game.
100%. And I think that if we look through the key moments of this game, a lot of them were preceded and then, the moments after were all Lyon fouls. This was such a game of physicality to the point
Yeah.
in which Lyon was so incapable of keeping up with us. And the big moments were moments where Lyon couldn't keep up with us. They were on the back foot. They made mistakes. And I think, if we look at the Lyon performance as a whole, I don't think that this is a testament to the team that has performed in the Champions League so far and in the Arkema. This was a team that looked particularly rattled. This was a team that looked particularly, and I don't say this lightly. I think that they were outplayed and then outmatured. I think that there were players on the pitch for Lyon who you expect. I'm thinking Lindsay Heaps, Ada Hegerberg,
Mm.
Diani. These are players who I
World-class
expect.
footballers.
Bernard as well. These are
Yep.
players I expect to be performing to a level that meets the opposition. I
Mm.
thought that we didn't necessarily have to drag this team down, similar to Wolfsburg when they beat Lyon 1-0. They basically dragged them down to their level. It was that we had hit a level and Lyon could not match that level. And
Mm.
there were the moments, the goals, I don't think are, exemplary examples of that because they came through a calamity of errors. But it is the moments off the ball. It is the fact that Lyon were, one shot on target in the first half, had one big moment in the second half, and
Mm.
they didn't make do with those efforts, even though we know and they can
Mm.
do so much more than they did against Arsenal.
But the chance creation, the
Mm.
ability to facilitate for your players. I mean, I feel like Stina was getting isolated in that 45th. I feel like the first 45th, I feel like her impact on the game in the first half was pretty minimal. But then she gets back into the game. She
Mm.
works hard. She fights
Yeah.
for it. I think the Engen own goal and La mix up was coming. It doesn't matter.
Mm.
It was an individual moment. Endler is a Lyon legend, has been an amazing goalkeeper for a very long time, but that happens on the big stages. It does happen. And this team, this old school team that Endler was a part of, like you do fluster in moments of magic. And I think that Mariona's ball was nothing special, but it's Stina's effort, right? That
Mm.
it just goes under the radar. You don't get an assist for that. You don't get the
Mm.
1%er like call out that you get in other sports, where like this is just like something that is expected of a striker. And we'll joke about the fact that like, oh, that there's like intentionality in like how you approach each play. Winning each moment, I guess, is the
Mm.
argument that I would say, is that instead of trying to win the game, Stina is just winning moment after moment after moment. And then when she loses the moment, it's not dwelling on it, it's focusing on the next
Yeah.
moment. And ultimately, that's what leads to the second goal, where I just think, I mean, this girl is the signing of the season in a lot of ways. Liv Smith turning up with big goals, winning big games, winning points when it really truly matters. She did it against us. She did it against Lyon. She's doing it when it matters, and she's scoring big goals. And that was a huge moment she had to score. We'd be looking at this game very differently if she didn't finish that chance. But I think there was not, I don't know. I mean, we can talk about the Diani moment with the crossbar, but the reality was that Arsenal deserved this win, and
Mm.
their flanks completely outplayed Lyon's flanks. We did talk about them as the Achilles heel. I love Sveva, but Emily Fox is the world-class fullback on one side and Katie McCabe is the world-class fullback on the other. And I just think you can see the difference in Lyon without a player like Ellie Carpenter to stop someone on the right side, and they look so different without Salma Basher as well. I just think it's a situation where you just sometimes don't have your best players, and you lose games because you don't have your best 11 out there. And Williamson's back and she's on form, and this is your first 11. This is your strongest squad. You made 5 subs, brought everyone into the game, and which I absolutely love about Renee. Renee's probably her best thing is that she has a sub for every moment and instance in a game that allows her to create the narrative of the football match in a way that's a lot better. The 2 double subs and the single sub of Hines for Williamson, because she knows how many minutes Williamson can currently do on her restricted minutes. But it will be a different game if Melky and Chewinga are involved in this second leg at the Groupama. But I don't know if this is the Juve rundown. I don't know. Like I would be very impressed if Lyon pull this out of the bag and do a French remontada and go for it. But ultimately, this. Well, I don't know. It's Ray never say die in a way. Like Renee Sledges, I mean, look, if they win this game, you're getting a Justin Bieber cover of Ray never say never. Like this girl, Ray never say Sledges. She's unbelievable. Like I don't know what happened in the league at the start of the year, and I guess that's a confidence thing. But the chance creation, the ability to play tournament football, the ability for the players to make confident decisions to control the park, like Lyon have only looked this flustered in the game, the 3-3 game against Juve. Even the 1-0 game against VFL was just a lot of Stina Johannes magic and like making sure that they can keep things out because their chance creation was quite good in that game against VFL. But the first half against Juve, they looked flustered, they looked tired, and then they brought it back in the second half. But I would be very impressed to see them turn around your lot, the defending European champions. That's what it is. It's not like I think Arsenal go into this game somewhat underdogs, like for a player for player or a number for number. We're not like, you can't do that anymore. Like you are expected to beat Lyon at home. You are expected to hold this lead at the Groupama, in my opinion. And I think some players might need that underdog mentality, and some players will look at, oh, Lyon is the institution, the titan of European football. But Arsenal are on their way to Lisbon for very good reason.
I don't think it's underdog mentality. I think the saying "it takes a village" is so to this point. I think for Lyon, and we can talk about how for the last 3 or 4 seasons it has felt so disjointed from the ideology that has won 8 European trophies. But the ideology, the philosophy, the momentum building that Arsenal have been able to galvanize under Renee Sledges is something that doesn't necessarily have to mean that we are underdogs. It just means that we have a different version of what it means to show up for 90 minutes. It means we have a plan, we have a goal, we have an expectation. Right now, Lyon's expectation is to basically not embarrass themselves. They don't want to go out again to Arsenal at home in a European tournament that they are so prestigious and so esteemed in. But Arsenal are going in, we know our level, we know what we have to do. And very similar to last year, our whole run is basically what is the goal? How will we meet it? And how will we beat the expectation of the team that has already put us in one category or another?
All right. So, I mean, I have to ask, I mean, this is recorded before the
Mm.
second leg. This will probably be out potentially after the second leg. So we must do a prediction as well. What are you thinking?
I think if my purest optimistic head, as you know, that is the only way that
Mm.
I go. I think that we win this game, and I think it's 3-1. And
Yeah. Wow.
I'm really, I
3-1.
have belief.
Crazy.
I have belief.
Unbelievable. Any particular players starring in this one?
I think Alessia Russo is going to have an absolute game at
Interesting.
Lyon Stadium. I think that
Wow.
they're going to be unable to cover her, and I think they'll be all focused on Cena and
Mm.
forgetting the real magic of a Russo in a second leg.
I think they actually did particularly well with Russo in this first leg. I think they didn't really give her the highest quality chances. I think the first one in the first half kind of woke them up and made sure,
Yeah,
okay, well, that's not going to happen again. I think Lyon win the regulation time. I think they win 1-0. I think they get one, and then you guys solidify. And then I genuinely think that you get one in extra time. I think
fair
it'll
enough.
be a 1-1, like 1-1 draw on the night, but Arsenal holding their lead with, I mean, none other. It just has to be, right? Like in my head, I think this is the moment where, I mean, we'll talk about the two players that I think will be a part of the extra time for this. And I don't know if Chloe Kelly's back, because if she was back, I would definitely predict her to
She might be.
deliver the final blow. But I'm actually thinking that it could
Beth
be
Mead.
Frida
Really?
Marnham or Beth Mead, but from a Smiller Holmberg cross. I think
Oh,
I think
Don't
Smiller
even get
just,
me
yeah,
started on.
I think we'll get to the league game at some
Yeah.
point, but I think Smiller will have her mitts on the second half and the extra time in this game if it goes there, in my opinion. I think it shows who are the players who are dying to be a part of this
Mm.
story. Again, I don't know. I think I'm more romantic when it comes to the Champions League. Like we can talk about it as just a tie. For me, it's like there is over two legs, you do create a narrative. It is a story. It is like tapestry. It is like there is like heritage to it. And like you never forget a Champions League semi-final deciding in extra time. And I can see maybe even a Swedish link up between Smilla and Stina for the winner. 1-0 Stina would be crazy. But I'm
Similar,
going one
similar,
all. I'm going
similar
one
to
all.
the
Yeah.
similar to the VFL game of 22-23, just flipped, basically.
Yeah,
So
maybe. Yeah, in a lot of ways, I am always a hopeless romantic when it comes to repeating history. But I mean, the goal, I think Hegerberg has to score at home. I think that would unite them and potentially get them more than one. But I think if she doesn't score, then it might be a penalty, a Renard penalty. It would be unsurprising to see a penalty, especially like we saw in the Bayern game. I mean, there was fouls all over the board. I mean, we talked about the fouls in and the physicality of the Lyon game, but we can talk about the Bayern Munich Barcelona game at the Allianz Arena. Pretty packed as well, 33,000, I believe, at this game. This was very, very entertaining football, and I predicted this to a T. I did say 1-1. I did predict 1-1. I thought the occasion, I thought Bayern would be up for this game. I thought Harder would be up. I didn't know Bull would be this fresh and firing, but my God, early on, I thought maybe 3-1, like the way Bull was running at owner, the separation they were giving her, clearly not respecting Bull enough on that side. But if Harder just buried that first chance, and I think that's the one that goes begging, is like 4 to 6 minutes in, if Harder scores that, the whole game changes. The whole narrative of this story changes. But on one side, you have Bull setting up Harder and it just gets scuffed, and then on the other side you have Puteus and Vicky running the show in the middle third, playing that ball to Patry on the inside of Gwyn, playing that ball to Esme Brutes is just, again, Patry Geyoro, somehow underrated in so many ways. I think she's so underrated at this point that she's overrated by us. But the Esme ball across, and Payor just sticks her foot out, gets there before Gilles, and it's 1-0 Payor. And I mean, who else, really? It is the who else but Payor, like
Did you know
scoring
that
her ninth
Payo
goal.
yeah, but Payo has never played at the Allianz, even though she spent so long at VFL. She's
That
never
what?
played at,
Oh, I
yeah,
assume they just played it. Did they just play at the campus when they
yeah,
played against? Yeah,
must
so they
have.
weren't at the Allianz. But yeah, her first goal.
Mm.
Of course, first game of the Allianz, first goal, 1-1 for Pyle. What a shock.
Yeah.
This girl is a killer. This is what I'm talking about. The best striker in the world on the
Mm.
biggest stage, sticking her foot out at something, a nothing cross. It is really just a nothing cross. It is a hit and hope from Esme. And look, I mean, Esme had some great moments later on in this game. The point where she hits the post, and that was that was
Mm.
probably the bigger moment in this game for Barca. But I just think that there was just nothing that Gwyn could do. There was no support for that moment. I think Tanikawa and Dalman get caught very square, very flat-footed. Stanway was playing that quarterbacking role, but in that moment was stuck on the other side of the pitch and it wasn't able to give that cover. And it was clear that Bayern had to make changes to their formation in order to get back into this game. They had to create a more fluid passing chain. They couldn't be sitting in this 4-4-2, this flat four to isolate Barca, especially when you score in 8 minutes. This is what Barca did against Real Madrid as well. They just kept the barrage going. But clearly Bayern weathered the storm a bit and they showed what they were worth. And I was very impressed with Franziska Ket. But Kadakoi was matching those attacks. That she was pretty impressive all first half. Koi and Ket as well. That long shot from Ket that Koi saved was pretty fantastic. And then Stanway allowed more support for Tanikawa as well by playing that quarterback role, and Tanikawa was finding Ket and finding Bull, and it was very good. But it was that second half, owner, long ball to Vicky. Vicky slices that cross to Esme, who had way too much time on the edge of the box. Why is Gwyn tracking Pina in the middle of the box and letting Esme on the corner? Like Esme at the Euros, that's her bread and butter, that corner spot, and she ends up hitting the post. It bounces off Marmutovic and nearly rolls back in. That was a lot of luck in that moment for Bayern. That could have iced the game, but Barca were all over Bayern in the first half of the first portion of the second half. Esme, Pina looking so lively on the back post. Ona, Caro, Lexi being so good. We had an Ewa header cleared off the line by Vanessa Gilles, and Marmutovic claimed and kicked for a counter long ball, which kind of foreshadowed the fact that they needed to hit Barca fast. They needed to hit them on the break. They needed to hit them unconventionally. And what is more unconventional than Gilles transitioning to Gwyn, playing to an inverted Francisca Ket in front of Patry, and then this is where world class footballers show themselves, right? I don't think you can say anything other than world class footballers all across the ground in this game. But Harder ends up with this ball from Ket in this perfect passing chain. Harder carries this run, and Patry tries to target Harder with the ball, but Ket keeps running centrally, yeah? And then Dahlmann's in the middle. You think she's just going to square it, but Muppy's doing a great job of covering her. But Ket just kept running. She's left alone. She's the late run at the 12-yard box. Harder sees her, picks her out, and it's a perfect equalizer. And you've just got to respect the fact that a fullback has run her socks off, ended up with an equalizer at home, scored in a Champions League semi-final for her. Like, Francisca Ket, that's world-class fullback play on the left side. And like, Gwyn and Ket swap sides so much. Like, the fact that she's 2-footed as well. She's now scored against Barcelona. Again, you don't only put so many players from Real Madrid who've scored against Barcelona. But in general, like, that is just a fantastically worked goal. I'd watch that back over and over and over if I was Barcalas, talking about their ability to command the respect of Barcelona. That's the best of Bayern doing their best. And then Mapi Lyon's long shot got denied in that top corner. Ewa tried an overhead kick, which would have been, we would be glazing Ewa so hard if that one went in. But I just think, I don't know. I think the attitude of Barcelona at the end, treating that like a loss, is poor, when the reality was Bayern turned up for this game. Bayern are a very good side, and you just don't win every game. Like, it's hard to win these matches. And I understand that Barca their expectation is to win every game, but this is a match where you're going up against an invincible league side, a team that's on their way to a domestic treble. Kudos to you. You probably should have won that game. And there are moments where, like, Esme probably wishes she had that moment back, and Ewa as well probably could have maybe sniff out a brace here and there. But the reality was, I think this was two pretty top sides, like, fighting for who was on top of this game at portions.
I think you can say that Barcelona deserved to win this game whilst also not offending Bayern and what they've done this season. I mean, they were basically 10 men Bayern for 15 minutes of this game.
Oh, yeah, the shirt pull, yeah. Oh, the hair pull. Sorry, apologies.
And
I was thinking of the Chelsea one. Oh my God, we're going to piss so many people off with that. I mean, it is a straight red. I mean, I think both of them are straight reds, but that on Salma, I mean, look, it's not a great look. Barcalas actually gets sent off, right?
Yeah.
He gets sent off as well. It is pretty cruel. I mean, I did say he was in trouble last week, and now he's definitely in trouble. But I think you. But again, defending for your life is something that's part of European football. It doesn't matter if you have 10 players.
But I don't think that Bayern were defending very well. I actually think it was Barcelona who weren't making the best of their chances. The last kick of the game was a 9 out of 10 Salma goal, basically.
9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 Salma Parol. No way.
9 times out
maybe
of 10
6.
Salma's...
Maybe 6.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But like...
we're talking about 25, 26 Salma. Yeah, we're not talking about 23, 24 Salma.
25, 26 Salma has been quite good.
In the league, yeah. But
I think that this game was I think underwhelming. I didn't get much out of this game. I didn't get tactics. I didn't get systems of play. I didn't get like standout performances from world-class players. This has been a problem, I think, for Alexia. And I think it's one of the things that we
Alexia,
don't mention.
Yeah, big one.
I think that you mentioned it before when you talked about her not really showing up to big games. Like, she hasn't scored in these big occasions in the last few years. The last big game she probably scored in was the 23-24 final.
I'm talking about the Spain-England games.
Yeah, exactly.
Specifically for country. I feel like she has commanded the earnings at Barca, where in finals she has the most goals in domestically. But again, in Champions Leagues,
suffer.
it's the knockout stages. It's not we don't just talk about the final, the iconic moment moment, the amazing moment where she does the bow and the late goal. But let's talk about the knockout stages. Who's running those games? Who's getting those goals? It's usually Aitana settling that kind of stuff. It's usually Ewa and Caro and Rolfo. I mean, Rolfo, a big player that clearly they're missing out on that left side to have that cover. But ultimately, I think there is inexperience in knockout stages from certain players. I would say, I mean, you said Alexia. I'd say Claudia Pina is someone
Yeah,
that
I
should be
agree.
having their mitts on this game and getting chances, the high percentage chances. We know that channel on the edge of the box on that left side with her right foot. Like, these are moments where you've got to set up your best to do what you know they can do.
I just think that this game reminded me of the final from last year. There was no difference maker. And I think that's the thing that we expect so much from Barcelona because they are so good, because we see things that we don't see from other teams when they are playing to a very mediocre level where I'm thinking any team could go up against this Barcelona side in this 90 minutes and have a game against them. I don't think Bayern particularly played fantastic. I don't think, as I said, Barcelona played fantastic. I think that they basically just cancelled themselves out in their joint mediocrity.
I mean, yeah, I mean, but if we speak to the antithesis of mediocrity, the second leg of this
Mm,
game, I mean, the rumor is
yeah.
that the goat is back, right? The goat is
Yeah.
coming back.
My goat.
She's listed on the bench. Yeah, not my goat. My
Not
goat's
your goat.
struggling right now, but I feel like my I always will back my goat. My goat
Right.
will turn up in this second leg. I feel like that she has to. She has to. I think
Mm,
she
yeah.
demands that of herself. But the last 20 minutes of this game, if the game's not settled by them in a packed out Nou Camp
Mm.
that's screaming Alexia's name for 70, 90 minutes. Like, again, we saw what happened the last time they played at the Nou Camp. Alexia was all over that game. But I think I think there is an occasion to this. I think this will be a statement win second leg. I'm gonna go for, I mean, we got 7-1 last time. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
4-1. I'm gonna say
Really?
4-1. I think Bayern could score first, potentially, or make it 1-1. But I think once Barca hit the lead, I think Bayern will try and throw the kitchen sink, and then you'll end up with two consolations at the end. And I think they won't matter. We'll say like 4-1 convincing, but it'll be like a 2-1 win. And I think the consolation ones will be Aitana setting up one of them. And she just has to be on the goal contributions category for this. Like, it just has to be her. But I'm going Ewa for a brace. That she'll get the first and the last, and I think the second one will be Alexia, and I'm expecting one goal, one assist from Alexia, and a bit of a masterclass from Patry in the middle to control Stanway, to control Parda in the middle of the park when she drops deep, and you know what? Potentially an owner player of the match to stop Clara Bull from doing
Fair
anything
enough.
she wants.
I think that I'm being conservative, and I'm going to say this is going to be very similar to the Germany-Spain Euro final. I think it'll be
Mm.
1-0 by the end of full time, and I think that there will
Aitana
be a
goal.
and then yes, I think there'll be a moment of magic from a super sub. I don't know who it will be, but I think it'll be someone either like an Aitana or someone of that ilk coming on. It might even be like a
Who's
keeper.
wait? Sorry. Someone
Okay, someone
of
of that ilk.
Aitana's ilk.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's a
someone of
good point. I
Aitana's
mean, like
ilk.
a super
Wow.
sub. I don't know, like a game changer, but you know
God
what
is
I mean.
coming on for
God followed by
Barcelona.
Jesus is
Yeah,
coming on
they
for.
bring on Lionel Messi and Aitana Bonmati. Yeah,
No,
they've
I
re-signed.
think it'll be a moment of magic by a player like in extra time. I don't think any of these two games will go
Interesting.
into
I mean,
penalties.
again, that would be folklore. I don't mind that, to be fair. Like, again, I think you're right in saying that there was no commanding aspect of this Allianz leg, but I still think there was world-class football happening in glimpses. I think Alexia's little flick on to Vicky Lopez
Do
and
you
a
think that's
few
world
little
class?
dribble.
I don't know.
No, but
I
I
think
think
that's
no, but I think
knockout football as well.
I just think just having the confidence to separate and
Yeah.
line break and like even Stanway's long balls that's you're seeing world class football. You're seeing the best of the women's game. It's two of the arguably the best
Mm.
teams on form, and I think that, I mean, you could say two on the other side are on form, but the reality is it is a different kind of technical form. I think these two are the rugged, hardworking, never say die, physical like
Mm.
beasts, and then these two are the technical brilliance from at least from an identity standpoint. And I think we would have liked it where one plays the other and then the other plays the other, and you have one technical versus one like aggressive aggressive side, and then you have the flamboyant side versus the magisterial like never say die champions, like European champions. You'd want that rerun in 2 legs. But ultimately, I think we got our money's worth, our eyes worth in this Champions League semi-final second leg, our first leg, and we're excited for the second leg. But we will move on to the WSL, where I mean, I'm just afraid now. This is where I've been afraid of this moment for the whole week. Leggy and I haven't really spoken about this game properly, but we are going to talk about Brighton, Fran Kirby's Vidosic's Brighton taking on us at home and destroying us. Well, not destroying, but doing more than enough to get over the line. A 3-2 win. They were 3-1 up. I saw the lineup. I saw no Viv. I saw no Coffee. I saw no Clinton on the field and no Fowler on the field. And I thought to myself, who the flying cook is in the 10? How are we going to manage this game? Is it going to be a Fujino in the 10? Is it going to be a Hempo switch and carry and invert? Is it going to be Carolyn in the 10? There was a lot of talk in the pre-match about Carolyn in the 10. And look, again, I am never a fan of fitting square pegs in round holes. Don't play players out of position just because form dictates it, because ultimately, again, I said Champions League is more like the narrative. It's that story. The league is a TV show. It's a long TV show where different characters take control of different aspects of each moment, and that's why it takes a village to win a league. It's not just about Bunny doing everything and Yama making amazing saves. It's about the Benets and the Coombsies and the little players, the Clinton. This was the game where Grace Clinton needed to start to show United that we made the right decision, that she comes on in the 10 against Brighton. She has something to prove. She has skin between her teeth. She hasn't started for us pretty much majority of the season in the league. She's been used as FA Cup, like to that kind of fodder ranks, yeah. And that was the moment to put her in her natural position in the like 8/10, create some stability and show her class. But we put Carolyn in the 10, and don't get me wrong, she scored early. We did our blitz, our Jeglert's blitz. We got a really good goal. It was great press. We probably should have had 2 in 5 minutes if Fujino took that chance in the first 20 seconds. But again, that first 25 to 30 minutes, we were on them. We were all over them. We did everything we could. The problem was we didn't have Viv on the park taking these chances, right? We had Carolyn and Fujino. Fujino usually more clinical than this. This is probably a least clinical game of the season. Hempo putting in those chaos balls. Bunny not really finishing the strikes that she had early on. I felt like there was a lot to be desired in that first 30, but it also created this like semblance of respect. Like, oh, okay, we're 1-0 up. We're peppering them with shots. We're probably going to win this game. But then Frank Kirby, super Frank, is just, again, we said it when they beat Arsenal in the FA Cup. She's still there. She's still one of the most amazing footballers in the WSL and one of the most amazing WSL footballers in history. And it's for moments like this at the end of the first half, doing what they do best. I mean, she had a shot earlier in the first half that got very well blocked by Rose and very well saved by Yama. But it was Vidosic passing play. It was LBB and Yui being a bit lazy, a bit out of the picture in this moment. Kanak not being touch tight with Maddie Haley, who we'll get to in a bit, but allowing her to find Kankovic, who lays it into Kirby, and Kirby is not being tracked by Rose. She's too far away. She's not touch tight again. And the off-balance flick to Haley. Haley's alone at the 12-yard box. She's open. Yui's not back on her, but obviously Haley and Yui, it's like two ends of the spectrum in strength ultimately. So I don't expect Yui to be that player, but she found the bottom left corner. It was 1-1 textbook Vidosic ball. And then the second half, they just kept going. They had Kankovic on the front foot, getting in front of LBB. She finds Kirby in space. Like, how is Kirby in space? After the first goal, how is Fran Kirby getting the space? She's not the fastest player. She's not the strongest player. LBB, you should be running with her. You should be playing that man-marking role, because ultimately we know where their best route to goal, their route one, is Fran Kirby setting up someone else. That's all it is. And they have finishers like Kiko Seika, who's arguably been Brighton's player of the season this season. I would say it's her and Nadosia on like a neck-and-neck route. But that finish from Seika is not unexpected. That's not like a worldier blinder. That's textbook Kiko Seika near post, Japan on Japan crime to pack in Yama near post. It was absolutely perfect finish. They're 2-1 up in 47 minutes. And ultimately they weren't done. They tried those long balls. It felt like we were like, I mean, it's funny I'm comparing us to Barcelona at this point, but when those games when Barcelona are struggling in the league and you just see that team play chaos ball on chaos
Mm.
ball on chaos ball over the top, and they just kept playing these long balls. Nadozi is playing long balls. Oli Sagas is playing long balls. We couldn't do anything about it. They were just all over us. And I mean, Charlie Rule had a very good game, and was, I mean, other than the headlock on Yui Hasegawa, was very good at making sure Hempo's crosses didn't have any high quality chances. But that third goal, it was Kirby again, left unmarked, playing the scraps for Haley and Kanak. We had AG falling over, Kanak falling over. Like, this hasn't happened all year. This is like semblances of a bottle where they're falling over at times where you just can't fall over. Yama makes a good initial first save, but again, Haley's second headed effort over Yamashita. That's just American physicality. That's just strength. That's power. That's incredible finish. I mean, I literally called her overrated at the start of the game. She's pulled out a brace in the biggest of moments. A huge moment for them, 3-1. Our bench clearly doesn't bat as deep as I think they do. I think Mary is very good to come on for Kero, have the natural 10, but her pressing is not the same. Carolyn's probably about 4 steps faster off the first 3 steps over Fowler. I think Fowler doesn't press that way, but she is that facilitator and does have the creative ability to do good things for the players around her. But Bunny wasn't on to that level to be able to get the separation, and I think they did very well defensively to make sure that Bunny couldn't get the biggest sniffs of chances until Iman Bene came on, and Bene came on for Caspi. She was unbelievable. She was probably our best player when she came on. She was running the show. She was running through teams. She was so much faster than everyone else on the pitch. At 19 years old, to play that weak foot through ball to Bunny, I mean, this is but what Bunny's bread and butter, with a player on her back to thread that ball, cross shot, low driven roller to the far post into the side netting. 3-2. I kind of thought we just left it too little too late. There was no moment for us to just do it again. I feel like once we got that goal, I don't know, like we had a late chance from Kanak that was saved, and then a Yamashita header. Like, I kind of rate Yeglert's throwing the kitchen sink to try and save a point, because I mean, if we got that point, then if we won at Liverpool next week coming up, that would be title done. But we have now opened the door a little bit for your lot. I think, I don't know, it just makes this game, the Liverpool game at the Joey against Gaz, all the more interesting. Everything's riding on this. We have to be our best. We have to trust the process, and hopefully Viv back as well, so we can be our deadly clinical self.
I think that you slightly underestimated your team, and I think that I think that this team should have won this game. You beat Brighton earlier this season with a weaker
But
side.
that was close too. They were good in that game
Yeah,
too.
they
Like,
scored
their
first.
press was
Kirby scored the
yeah,
first
but
goal. Yeah, but you
that
won it.
press was crazy.
That's the
Yeah, no,
difference.
I agree. We got over the line with clinical finishing and getting, and sometimes you don't deserve football match wins. Yeah, this was a
No,
game where
and I don't
Brighton
think you
deserved
deserved it.
everything, and we didn't
Agree.
deserve this game. Like, if we got a draw, we wouldn't have deserved the draw in any way. But obviously you can nick a game, you can nick a point, and that's what was the plan in that game. But I just think Hasegawa just didn't have the support when Coffey's not on
Hmm.
the field. I think getting used to Sam Coffey clearly meant that LBB on the field was a different, like, there is a difference drop in level, and that's not to say anything bad about Blinkilda Brown. It's just the expectation now is that Yui can go a bit further forward. She doesn't have to be the last player, that quarterback in midfield, because LBB is that player that is good on transition, good with her back to the ball on the half turn, but Coffey is the physical presence that allows Yui to get a bit further forward. I expect, I don't know, another day a few of Hempo's balls go on the back post. I think Caspi was kind of relatively silent in this game. I don't think she had as many moments on the right side further up the pitch, and I think that's a testament to Oli Sagas and her performance in this game. But I think Brighton and Vidicic, I mean, they're stylistically match up well against us. They play technical football,
Mm.
fast passing, and they're able to use their physicality in midfield to get the best out of their players against a not necessarily a weak midfield in our midfield, but a weakened midfield with Carolyn and LBB there, and slightly diminutive when Kankovic is just so much more like physically like intimidating on the aerial balls. Like it felt like they were just winning every like long aerial moment other than when Bunny was there.
It's just disappointing that Brighton have lost so many games this season. They've lost 9 games
Yeah.
because they have been arguably the best team to watch in a full season perspective. As we look back on hindsight, they're the team that have throughout domestic football knocked out the likes of Arsenal. They've beaten your lot. They've had very good games against basically the top four teams. And I think Brighton were very well to recognize your weaknesses in this game. And I think
Mm.
that you were not actually able to recognize your own weaknesses, if you know what I mean. Like you could
Yeah,
recognize how to
100%.
get past the Brighton high
Yeah,
press. That was pretty obvious from the first
yeah,
15 and the last 15
of
minutes.
course.
But it was that middle patch where I feel like Brighton were like, okay, so we know the parts of the pitch where City are basically weakest,
Mm,
and we're going to exploit that, and we're going to
mm,
put pressure in areas that don't really want to be pressured. You don't want to be
mm,
pressuring AG in a 1v1. You don't want to
yeah,
be pressuring Yui in a 1v1. There's like these weak spots in the side that they just kept
yeah.
pushing, and then
Yeah.
it obviously led to goals.
Or yeah, so that weak spot. I mean, look, if I'm Gazball, I mean, obviously Gazball, adamant watcher of Benchwarmers, but like,
Yes.
if you're watching the footage of that game, AG's right foot, yeah,
Mm,
playing the ball between the Kanak and AG channel, when AG has to turn her body that way is
yeah.
probably where our liability is. Our Achilles heel is the acceleration on the back foot of Alex Greenwood and Rebecca Kanak, and it is the slowest part of our team, right? Jade Rose is one of the fastest footballers in our team. So ultimately, we need to find a way to facilitate for that. And I think the other what I hope happens is that we don't do a super overcorrection. I hope AJ goes, you know what? We fought hard at the end. We're going to keep our back four. We're going to trust the rigidity. We're going to be more tight. We're not going to allow that gap to facilitate for players like Beata Olsen, Bergstrom, Bernabe, whoever they play, Kerry Holland. I don't care who they play. The point is that we have to lock them up at the Joey. We have to make sure that there is no chance that Gazball gets any sniff of a chance in this game because I mean they are the most inconsistent side in the league. I think when they're on, they're on, and when they're not, they're not. We'll get to their game in a bit, but we're going to go to your game, the Magnificent Seven of Arsenal Football Club. Sorry, the Arsenal
The
Football
Arsenal.
Club against the Leicester City, the getting relegated Leicester City. My God, I mean, have fun in that playoff game. I think that's going to be an interesting matchup. We'll get to
Is
that.
that automatic
But
relegation
no,
for
no, no, no.
no?
So Leicester have to play whoever finishes third in the WSL
Oh,
two to decide who's going to play in the
it's a bit
WSL
silly.
and who. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
it is a bit silly, but I kind of think it's limbs. I think if Leicester
Van
lose that
Egmond
game,
leaves.
yeah, yeah, whoever wins the game gets to play in the league and keep and get
Yeah.
Van Egmond. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Van Egmond's going to get a new nickname, the Relegator. But yeah, Arsenal 7-0. We don't have to go through all the goals,
No.
do we?
No.
It was just, I mean, it was so this is the game that just makes you question. Like, look, even though let's say you win all your games in hand,
Mm,
you will be 2 points behind us. The fact that you couldn't play like this earlier in the season is endemic of the fact that like you can do it. You like this whole like game management mode Arsenal that we were talking about 3-4 months ago is us being like funny and jokey and but like ultimately this is what you look like at the top of your form and this is what you should have been doing to teams like Villa that you're drawing one
mm,
all at home
yeah.
and like
Spurs.
ultimately Villa a team that copped 20 goals in four
Mm,
games at some point in this season. Like Arroyo is gettable and you treated them like they were this miserly back four, but then now you have players who are stepping up in different aspects. I think there was a variety of different chance creation combinations that were very impressive. Frida Marnham finally turning up, giving our WOSO validation some life. I mean, again, a player that when she's on form is relatively unplayable. And look, is she a flat track bully? A little bit. Is she WOSO a little bit? But I do rate Marnham, and Stenius was great. Smiller was amazing. Leah Williamson with a headed goal
Mm.
from my recollection. Mariona,
Hmm.
why Leicester? You leaving Mariona at the edge of the box on her
Yeah.
left foot? That's probably like in itself probably one of the worst players on their left foot to leave there. Maybe Lauren James in the WSL is the only
Mm.
other player I can think of with their left foot in that spot. You wouldn't want to give that open license to. But I feel like you just had everything on your terms here.
This was 7 goals in 40 minutes. Like this
Yeah.
was a masterclass in what we can do in attack, what we can do in basically just tearing teams apart, bullying teams. This was a very Arsenal performance at a very Arsenal time of the season because this is what we do at the end of seasons. Except for last season where we focused heavily on the Champions League. We weren't winning games like this, but
Yeah.
we were back to the Arsenal that I knew, the back to the
Mhm.
Arsenal that I wanted 4 or 5 months ago, the back to the
Mhm.
Arsenal that I commented was the Arsenal. That is the Arsenal that I know. And it's funny to say because you're going like there's no real difference. Like if you actually look at how we played, the only difference was that we were shooting. Like that was
Yeah.
it. We were
No,
shooting.
but you were taking your chances. Like
We were taking
another
chances.
day, if Janina Leitzig's in goal, it's a 2-3 nil game. They make a few saves. Leah Williamson header doesn't go in. Marnham or Stenius's stuff doesn't go in.
Mm.
Like that's the point, is that you have players on form who are getting the confidence off the others to try
Mm.
different things. Smilla Holmberg getting out the back and finishing her chance. That's Emily Fox stuff right there. I mean, if Emily Fox scored that goal where she like ran all the way through,
Yeah.
and then I mean, I think
Yeah.
I think that would have been the background of your pod.
It would have been. It would
Yeah,
have
yeah, I
been.
reckon if she
Yeah.
scored that goal, that would have been absolute box office as well.
Yeah.
But Emily Fox in some serious form at the
Mm.
moment. But yeah, look, I mean, the bright lights of the Emirates, you can't really do much if you're Leicester, a team that has been I mean, if there's one thing we predicted right in this show from
Mm.
episode one is that we knew how many points we're gonna get, how many points they were gonna get, what position on the table they'd finish. They've got 9. I predicted 12. I
How
predicted
many did I
12.
predict?
I think we both said collectively that they'd finish 12th, they'd have 12 points and 12 players on their roster left. But I think that was
I think
the
that,
tagline. But
honestly,
ultimately,
by the end of this game, they probably should have 12 players left by the fact that a
yeah,
lot of these players were made to look like Sunday League. Like you'd think that they
yeah,
like
it was
accidentally
poor.
like switched buses on the way. One was going to, I don't know, some Sunday League game. The other one was going to the Emirates. It was
Yeah.
a game where you can commend Arsenal as much as you like, but it also just shows how poor Leicester have been this season
Mm.
and how if you want to stay in the WSL, you need to be reaching levels not where you're beating the top sides every week, but
Mm.
actually competing. And I think that you can talk about how Smilla Holmberg had fantastic games. I think our last 3 goals were our best goals, but the
Mm.
first like pack of goals that we scored were like objectively not very good, and they were
No.
made not very good because of the fact that Jamila Leipzig was having a bad game. The
No, no,
defense
no.
was
Jenna Clark.
oh, Jenna
So
Clark.
Leipzig wasn't playing. She's
Leipzig
out.
wasn't
Yeah, and then
playing.
they
Yeah,
swapped the goalkeeper and it didn't change anything anyway. So it was
true.
like Leipzig. I mean, if Leipzig was playing, it would have
I think
been
it would have been
a
different.
different
Yeah.
story because I think she is a better keeper than
Mm.
Leicester has. But I mean, the big question of this is Arsenal's current schedule with one game
Mm.
every 3 days for the next what 2 weeks, three
Mm.
weeks. Yeah, so
Yeah.
they have from this first leg of the Lyon game, you have 7 games in 21 days, which
Mm.
I mean, what are the scheduling masters there
Mm.
to put you under that pressure? Ultimately, the question will be like again, I think that is just so much football. Is it possible for you to like obviously I think you take the Champions League with the priority number one because of the position that you're in. But again, you're only if you win your games in hand, you're only 2 points behind us. You put the pressure on us. Like, do you expect to win all 7 of this 21,
Yes.
or is it
But
is
that's
it like,
me.
yeah, no, 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 but like, do you think it's like the assignment is understood that
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter the fitness, it doesn't matter that like they're gonna just let quality rule it out. Like scheduling shouldn't change the fact that one game every 3 games against teams that play once a week shouldn't change the quality of the play.
No, and I think that that's a testament to our depth. I don't think that we need to be playing the side that we play against Lyon to the side that we're playing for a majority of the games that we have left. I think
Well,
that
you
our
have
toughest
Brighton next.
game
So
will
you
be
have
Brighton.
Brighton.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And
exactly. So
Brighton is,
that'll be our toughest game.
yeah, but they're a physically gifted team. You're going to be coming off Lyon, who are also a physically gifted team. I mean, they've already done the one over you in the FA Cup as well, so you will be wanting
Yeah.
revenge for that. But again, just a player like again, let's say you're playing Cadena,
Mm.
and let's say you're playing Cadena and Hines as your centre back partnership in that WSL game, which I think you won't. I think you'll play Wub and Moy and Cadena maybe and give Williamson a break. But the reality of that is that like if I'm Maddie Haley, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to feast on that. I'm going to put as much physicality into it. I don't want Arsenal to be this team that just runs all over everyone that we've got left. Like we're going to make it hard for you to win all your games in hand. But again, this is what unifies teams. This is where players like Leah Williamson get in front of their mob and say, we're going to lock in. We've got to win 7 out of 7 in this 21. And look, we'll look back on this magnificent 7, not the 7-0, but the 7 games you have in this 21 days and decide whether this makes Arsenal season or breaks Arsenal season. Because let's say you get one draw, let's say you drop one of those games, that's probably league done.
Yeah.
Whereas it's more important for you to beat Lyon and end up in Lisbon, or Oslo or wherever the hell it is in Europe
Oslo.
it is Oslo to end up in a Champions League final to retain your own European Cup.
Well, I think that I don't think that it's a matter of class. I think that a Kadena, Ruben Moy, like a Kadena, anybody could easily
Oh,
hold a Brighton team.
I'm not saying they can't. It's just like Fran Kirby playing
Oh, of
once a
course.
week
Yeah.
is conducive to a better game
Mm,
against a tired Arsenal
mm.
side than and I don't know. I find it kind of unfair in a way. Even as a City fan, I find it unfair that the chances of us winning this league. Obviously, we've earned the position we
Mm.
are in, and you haven't been amazing for the entire portion of the season. You are the form team in the league
Mm.
now, but you weren't the best team in the league at the start of it. But the chances of us winning this league based on our ability is obviously predicated on the last 2 games we have against Liverpool. Mainly the Liverpool game is the big one, because then after that it's just null and void. But it could be just based on the fact that you guys will be too tired
But
and too
championship
burnt out.
teams. Like
No,
that,
of course, of
I
course.
was
It's
calling for quadruple at the start of the season. Like you can only do a quadruple if you have the team and if you have the effort and you have the
mm,
belief. And I think you can be as physically tired as you like. I honestly think it's like a fallacy that you
mm.
go into every game and you're so physically exhausted. Like you're a professional athlete. Like they know how to recover. Like
No,
it's not about that.
no, but
It's
100%. But
about the
again, they're
mentality. And
going up against professional athletes.
yeah, and I get that.
It's not about that. It's the 3-day turnaround. We've seen it so many times. We've seen teams lose games that we don't expect them to lose. We're seeing teams cop draws in more we see draws
But
in WOSO, whereas
those
in
teams don't
other
have
yeah
those
comps.
teams don't have the belief of Arsenal. That's the difference.
No,
If
that's
we
true.
continue
That's
the
true.
belief that we have, then
Yeah,
as I said, it's not about tiredness.
yeah.
It's about like internal belief. It's about like, radical optimism of how we can actually win these games in hand.
I mean, we will come back to this moment after the
Mm.
Magnificent Seven, the run of 7. And if you've won all 7 games, I mean, there is no reason to, like, again, you're going to force City's hand to make sure that we have to
Yeah.
win both games. And if you finish in the league 2 points behind us, I think that's pretty impressive in its own right, considering how pretty poor you were at the start of the season. Not poor, but just like
No,
not to
poor. You
this
can say
level.
poor.
Yeah.
It was
But I
poor.
don't know.
It was poor.
I think it was poor for your standards, but I don't think it was excessively like you had 2 draws. It's not like you like lost big games. You
We
lost
drew
to
to
us.
Spurs.
You
That's
lost to us.
objectively
Yeah, yeah,
poor.
no. That was the worst, the 0-0. But like the Villa game, like you had 2 draws and then the loss against us. That was the
Yeah.
blip. And ultimately I think we'll be looking at this 7. If you win 7 in 7, I will be very afraid of Arsenal going into the
Yeah.
Champions League final, potentially retaining that, and then also going into next season where you should be looking at the league properly
Mm.
this time instead of just going after a nothing cup. No, I'm just joking. Speaking of teams that can't go after nothing
Mm.
cups, we're going to talk about United and Spurs. 2 teams, a fifth versus fourth clash that was entirely the only word I can use to define this game is just I can't believe I had it on the full screen. Jesus Christ. I can't
Yeah.
believe I put LCL on my phone, which is yuck. I had to like clean my phone after. And then I had Chelsea on the computer and then I had this game on the big screen. I was like, "Oh, well this is the grudge match. This is to see if Liverpool if Spurs can do get the one over United, make sure that United don't end up with Champions League football. But United made sure of that. United did a great job of making sure that they couldn't win this game because Tottenham kind of ran them off the park in
Yeah.
a lot of ways. They had all the better chances. They had all these amazing moments. Martin Ho, put your hands up. You've done everything you can. It's just not your fault that your team can't finish chances. But shout out to Vinberg. Great game. I feel like Gopset had a few moments, wasn't amazing, but Blackstad was really good. Stopped Mallard, made Mallard move centrally. I feel like Koga had her moments as well. It was just a pretty comprehensive performance of chance creation, at least from Tottenham.
I think that Tottenham, after this game, a lot of what I saw was this was a season of overperformance in comparison to last season. I think that that's a fact. I think that that's like an objective reality that they are better than they were last season. But I think when you're coming up against a United team that looked so like not only like exhausted physically, which is surprising to me because they had that rest. I would have thought that they would have come back a bit more rejuvenated, but they're mentally exhausted. This is a team that was not only like beaten in a very clinical way in the Champions League, but I think mentally have been so exhausted knowing that they haven't had the full season performances that they wanted to have. This was not a season to remember for United, and I think that that's okay to say, whilst also saying that at the start of the season there were United
It
fans
was a
saying
season to remember.
this was the
Exactly
season
right.
to remember. The second half of the season, they haven't been good. Their philosophy has basically been undermined by their own style of play because the defend first, attack later thing has been completely like flipped on its head. They now are not able to defend. They're also not able to attack. And this is why Spurs, if this was the season that they thought it was going to be, if internally this is the season where they're like, we need to start attacking European spots, etc., they should have won this game. 22 shots, an XG of nearly 3. I mean, like these are the games where you're going to rue the chance that you miss. These are the games that your peers, Brighton, Villa, in previous seasons where they're at that same fifth, sixth level, are beating a depleted top three team.
Yeah, and Tullis Joyce, player of the match, very good. Well, actually, player of the match from like a rating standpoint, I think player of the match was given to Olivia Holt or Vinberg. I'm not too sure which one it was at the end of the game, but it was the biggest chance for me was the substitute, Lena Gunning
Hmm.
Williams. That moment where she skips around Maya Letitia, that was unbelievable work to get there, and then to have that chance. She took it first time. Could she have taken a touch? Maybe. I don't know. It's experience, 21 years old. To be able to get away from Letitia like that was quite impressive as well. So that could have been a big box office moment for them to do that at
The arena.
their new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, that's very nice. The Beyonce Bowl, as they call it. But the most world class player they've had in it is definitely Beyonce. But ultimately, I don't know. This game left a lot to be desired from both sides. Not from like again, Tottenham defended well, made sure that their world class players, well, quote unquote, United fan says they're world class players. But again, we were talking about that Miyazawa, Park, Zigiotti midfield. Obviously, without Zigiotti, they look like a shell of a team. It is
Shambles.
crazy with Nalsund and Rolfo in the middle. I mean, Rolfo just looks lost in the middle. I don't get it. I don't get the Rolfo in the 10. It's not a Karchawi situation. She is a left-sided player. She needs to be played on the left. But she's in a team where she needs to be used centrally because they don't have the power centrally, and they got beaten on the back foot. They got beaten for strength through the middle, and then there was some moments, some long shots that were good, but PTJ did well to keep it a scoreless draw. But we will move to Goodison Park, where Everton got packed in by Chelsea. This is what I expected more from Chelsea this season. A little bit more technical football, a little bit more playing and catering to players' strengths, like Sam Kerr. Sam Kerr looked like her normal self
Mm.
for the first time in a while. I think even in the Asia Cup, she had good moments of play, but this is what Sam Kerr does. The off-the-shoulder runs, the perfect timing, the playing, everyone catering to her every movement, the finishes she had were sublime. She should have had a hat trick. I can't believe that they didn't pick that up. That one that was stuck in the goal. I can't believe they didn't call that. But
Ben, no
she,
VAR needs
yeah,
VAR.
yeah. I mean, that was that. No, no, no. But that's just poor. No, 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 no VAR. But that's just poor. They just should have seen that. That's one on the L. Like I think everyone knew there was even a body language part of it that should have just kept it. But Mamik, shout out to Mamiki, that shot.
What a
Claire
goal.
Wheeler assist, by the way. Claire Wheeler against the top four. No one does it like Prime Barclays, Claire Wheeler. Yeah, Hannah Hampton absolutely walking back into her own net when she
Yeah.
gets packed in by Mamiki. But yeah, after that goal, I kind of thought that they could use it to maybe get something out of this game, a bit of feeling ball. But I think how they were feeling was that Chelsea could just keep going, and Sonia's side were just so good. Cuthbert had an offside goal, but then Kerr got her second. She got the off the shoulder brace run. This is two man of the match, player of the match performances from Sam Kerr in two back-to-back games. Sammy is doing her thing. And then obviously Maz Pacheco had that big chance. Look, Tony Payne, so unlucky. First time I've seen you ping a ball perfectly into someone else. And
True.
yeah, Jesus, I cannot believe she missed that. And then it just opened the door for Carpenter's goal. I mean, well, yeah, it was Carpenter's goal from the
Hmm.
Thompson ball. AT's ball is actually rubbish, and Ellie does very well to trap the ball to finish that strike. I think Brosnan should do better. I don't care that it's point blank range. I'm pretty bullish on the fact that Brosnan is a top 3, 4 shot stopper in the league, and she should be saving that. But
That was like my favorite goal of the game because I was watching it with my dad and I was like, watch Ali's run. I was just like, watch Ali's
she's
run. I'm like, she's
gunning it.
gonna
She's
score. She's
gunning
gonna.
it. Yeah, she
And my
wants
dad's
it.
like,
Wants
she's
it.
not scoring. And I'm like, no,
Yeah, and
she's
then
gonna
she's definitely
score.
scoring. The way
Yeah.
she's running, she was running like an NWSL player when they're like flying like this and their hair's
Yeah.
going like around. It was crazy stuff. But yes, that's two Tillies with 3 goals
Mm.
in this game, and then the fourth was to obviously Erin Cuthbert completing the fourth. I mean, that was a good. I mean, it was a good strike to be honest, and it was some good stuff from Sam Kerr and good stuff from JRK who had their headers and turn and shoots blocked, and then Cuthbert at the edge of the box unmarked. I mean, that's probably other than her and Kira Walsh, just two midfielders you don't want to leave at the edge of the box with a chance to give a low driven. They love those situations. They live for it. But Goodison Park, despite the fact that the feel and ball magic was pretty good when he first came in, I feel like the new manager bounce is over. Now they've copped a
Hmm.
few losses at Goodison Park. I don't know what is next for Everton, especially with the Kelly Gago situation and what happens to her in future, but maybe they can recuperate some funds for her. I don't even know if her contract's expired at the end of the year or if they can get some more funds for her, but ultimately they will need replacements. And I think their backline is good, but who knows if Ruby Mace goes, Fernandez, I mean,
Ruby Mace
also
wasn't
very
even
good.
playing in
Oh
this game.
yeah, I mean, again, yeah, it was a makeshift side in a little bit of ways, but ultimately they have players that they want to hold on to if they want to maintain their semblance and credibility as a WSL pack side.
I think that this game for both teams, the first half was like the best of Everton, the worst of Chelsea, and the second half was the worst of Everton, the best of Chelsea. It just kind of it goes to show that a game is 90 minutes. You can only beat what's in front of you. Chelsea are going to face sides like this. They're going to smash them. It's not indicative of the season that they've had, which has been objectively poor by their standards. Everton, on the other hand, I think that if you actually watch them like every week, you will see that there's been like a genuine improvement from this side. I think it's just about results now. I think they've been able to beat teams around them, but what
Yeah.
about snatching points for the top
But
sides?
they're the worst.
That's
They're the worst
and
form
that's
in the league right now,
exactly.
bar Leicester. They've lost 3 on the bounce, and they
Mm.
have Arsenal next. So don't not acting like there's more coming. So it could be 4 on the bounce. I would love nothing more than Everton to give Arsenal something. But ultimately, I just think there is a level
Claire Wheeler,
difference.
yeah.
And like, yeah, I mean, Claire Wheeler Magic against the top 4. I mean, she's. I think they could score against you. Is it a home game? Is it at the Emirates or
No,
a
surely
Goodison
not.
Park? So you have to get up to Goodison Park, you
No, it's
know?
at the Emirates. It's at
Oh,
the
it's at the
Emirates.
Emirates. Oh my
Okay, we're
God,
smashing them.
Jesus.
We're
Okay, it could be a
smashing them.
3-4 nil
Jesus
murder, but they do have Leicester to finish off the season. But again, this is a WSL pack side that will stay in the league and maintain their level. I think they are a good side. They do cause trouble. I mean, God, I have nightmares about playing against Claire Wheeler. They do have classy players that do get picked up. I mean, look, the amount of players that have come from Everton, namely like I don't know, Lucy Bronze, Natalie Bjorn, cultivate
Alice
players
Greenwood.
that, yeah, Ella too. AG, yeah. Yeah, but she wasn't actually, she was pretty good for them to be fair. But ultimately, like, yeah, the Merseyside, the blue side of Merseyside, again, in WOSO, it's a different story. It's not like Everton are that far away, if not better than Liverpool in that aspect. I feel like Liverpool do get the run in on them when they play at St. Helens. But we will get to Liverpool's game, arguably the other upset of this round. Liverpool playing West Ham for the race for who finishes second last, basically. And we had some magic from the calcio master that is Rita Guarino, lovely Rita Guarino, with their first win since the 8th of Feb and their first clean sheet win in the WSL since basically this time last year, March 2025 against the Spurs. They won 2-0. But they played at St. Helens Stadium that has been rebranded, by the way. I didn't know that this was what it's called, but the stadium is called the Brewdog Stadium, like the beer Brewdog. I had
Yeah, this is
no idea about this. I
they
don't know
went from
how I
such a
didn't know
holy
this.
name to a
Yeah.
it's like the
Yeah,
Antichrist.
St. Helens. I mean, ultimately, St. Helens Stadium, it is that by like from a non-branding standpoint. But to call your stadium Brewdog Stadium is elite because Liverpool came out and they looked drunk. They looked drunk when they were playing this game. Their midfield was an absolute shambles. They
Shambles.
made Asahi look like she was 24 playing in Bordeaux or PSG or Bayern Munich. Like, don't get me wrong, Viv Asahi, like WOSO legend, and like streets will never forget Viva Say ever. But my God, they made her look so quick. Kerry Holland not getting out the back. I'm gonna call out the fact. I mean, I know it was a 1-0 own goal, but Capox has played 20 games this season, and only had 3 goal contributions from the 10. And I know she's like an 8/10, but like. But she starts every game. She plays 90 nearly every week. I just think there needs to be a little bit more meritocracy in this team. There needs to be a little bit more you earn your role. And Gazpol used to be good at that. Like you don't just have the role. And like she can be a leader on the pitch and everyone knows that she's that good. But if you haven't scored in 5 to 6 games and you're this attacking midfielder, and then your last GC was a month ago, and then your most recent GC is an own goal, like there is a cause for moral dilemma. It doesn't matter how good you are on the training ground. If it's not showing in performances, you've got to earn that off the bench. You've got to play with the minutes you're given. And I think 90 minutes as a given for Capox is a bit different, where I don't know, she's not on that level with Kirsty McLean coming through, playing quite good football. Nagano, who's probably Liverpool's player of the season. And then you have someone like Beata Olsen and Denise O'Sullivan. Like their midfield could be McLean, O'Sullivan, and Nagano, and you just leave Capox out. And then you have Holland, you have Enderby, you have Bernabe, you have Olsen. You have a team around it where you don't need your given players. And then obviously Fisk and Clark and Shimizu, like they have their givens in terms of their defensive line, and I actually rate their defensive line. And obviously if you're copying an own goal, there's not much Falk can do. She can only save so much. She's such an unbelievable keeper. But also shout out to Semic, who got player of the match in this game. She had an amazing game, someone who we've probably given more criticism than praise. Jenna Clark's looping header got denied by Semic, an amazing diving save. And then we had Estelle Cascarino with her legacy game for West Ham with 2 clearances off the line to hold the 1-0. This is calcio ball. I mean, Cascarino coming from Juve, Ria Guarino coming from Juve. This is what they bring, a little bit of spice, a little bit of like never say die defending. Fisk very unlucky to not score from that thumping header. But Gazball's transitions weren't on form today. I think it was very poor from them. And I kind of wish they won so they'd be a bit like lackadaisical against us. But I think they're going to come out like saying we can't play like this again and we need to be up for this game. And Gazball back at the Joey, I'm quite nervous with the fact that they've got a lot to rearrange and there's not much to go off. Like I can't be like, oh, this is what we've got to watch out for. That's the worst of Liverpool. They're not going to be worse than that against us, in my opinion.
I think this game just goes to show how important Denise O'Sullivan is, how important Enderby is. I mean,
I
these are
mean,
players
already
that
how important
I
Denise
was just
O'Sullivan
about to
is.
say it.
Crazy.
These are players who I think at the start of the season, I think Enderby had a pretty good start of the season. I think this is her breakout season for sure.
Yeah,
But I
definitely.
think I think that we weren't expecting so much that this team would be so heavily reliant upon players outside of Beta Olsen. Like I think Olsen is probably the player who you most look to in this
Clinical,
Liverpool
yeah.
team because she's the most clinical. She's the one going to get you the goals. But it's that midfield. You rightfully said. I mean, Capox has been one of those players who I think very similar to a Frida Marnham. She's just been off. Like I don't think it's anything to do with the system. I don't think it's to do with the players around her. I think
She
it's she's
started the
just been off.
season well as well.
Yeah,
I think she had
exactly.
if I'm not mistaken, I think she had a goal in the Merseyside derby, a
Hmm.
really good goal at that. And I
Hmm.
think she had two of her three GC this year in the first three game weeks of the season. And it's like that starts you off well, and we start going, oh, Capox is really good. She's had a good start to the season, but you need to follow it up. There's a reason why Liverpool are not near like they are in my head. They are a WSL pack side. They're not getting relegated. Both of these teams aren't getting relegated, but both of these teams at one point were the worst side in the league. Like Leicester did accrue points, and me and you were looking at each other like, what's going on? Why is Leicester third last, not last as a given? And ultimately, they have both picked up in form. This was better performances from them in relation to what happened at the start of
Yeah.
the season for both of them. But in regards to the last 3 to 5 weeks, I think both of them didn't perform to the level that we know they can.
I think that West Ham, I think this performance and this win was coming. I think that they were really unlucky against LCL. They were really unlucky against Manchester United as well. I think
United,
that they
yes.
also could have won that game. So I think this was to me, it's unlucky the way that it came about because I expect a team with genuinely good players. Like this is not a West Ham team with bad
No.
players. This is a West Ham team with
Shakira
like
Martinez, German
Julia Martinez,
international.
yeah,
Yeah,
um,
100%.
who scores goals. Like, and I kind of
Gori,
want,
Matilda, you
mm,
have is Uwcl there as well? Like they,
yeah,
it's not like these starts for Japan. Like these are players that are not just like scrubs off the bench. These are
mm,
players who are national starters. Semic, national starter,
yeah,
basically like general of the Polish backline. Like this is a solid team. Estel Cascarino in and out of the France team. Like this is not scrubs. Like they are scrubs by the definition of the WSL being the highest quality league on argument, and like with I mean the greatest funding. But ultimately, I think I expect more from these two sides next season. I think Gazball next season will be in and about the ranks. I do think they will be the biggest climbers based on the fact that we've seen their best in this last 8 week patch, and they can give anyone a go. But it's just about making sure that they can facilitate for the players that they have, and then bring in talent. So we obviously know that Liverpool are bringing in Pedamores. That will be a huge plus to the league, and we get to see the power of the Frauenbunds in the WSL in ways that we haven't really tested before. I think there are players obviously that have gone the other way. Like I think about Pernilla Harder, who just hasn't lost the league ever. Like she's the most ridiculous footballer ever. But I think like seeing Pettimore's a player who I think is very solid for one of the better sides in the Bunds coming into a not necessarily the most solid team. Let's see if she can translate some form.
Well, I think that if we go into the LCL Leicester game, I think one of the things about those two teams is I think LCL is a destination club for many, whether it be paycheck or otherwise.
Mm.
Leicester City is obviously, probably
Potentially going down.
the destination club for like players who want to get good time in WSL too.
Yeah.
But like if like West Ham and Liverpool, I think very similar to those teams. There's one team there that's a destination club. I think that's Liverpool. There's another
Yeah.
team there where you don't really know what you're going to get from that side, and I think with Leicester this season, we knew that they were going to be
Oh,
bad. I think
they
that's the
will. I
thing
think
about
this was worse. I think this was worse than the
the
7-0.
7 now.
I'm not even
Like
joking.
based on relative form, in terms of like where these two teams are, LCL are obviously closer to Leicester than
Yeah.
Arsenal are to Leicester. So
Yeah.
in terms of
They
the
haven't
way
scored
that they,
5 goals in this league ever.
I
This
was
was
just
their
about to say
biggest win in history. Like
the way that
this is
LCL was
tragic.
scoring these goals, this
Yeah.
was the game where you would be like, okay, well, I don't expect Leicester to win, but
Well,
I
they
mean,
scored the first goal. They scored the first goal, but
true.
their player of the season, in my opinion, Shannon O'Brien, the outside of the foot, like, I mean, terrible pass back from Lucia Corrales. And then she hits this outside of the foot. They're 1-0 up. I'm like, okay, we've got something on our hands here.
Yeah,
We've
30
got
minutes
some
in as well.
semblance.
It's
Yeah,
not like
exactly. And then the onslaught just happened. And like, we had a cross slash shot from Freya Gregory, that Freya Godfrey, Jesus
Godfrey
Christ. I
every
do it all the
time.
time. Actually, I don't
Every
know if it
time.
was, it's Freya Godfrey just doing magic. But then they have set piece scramble and Izzy Goodwin, who I'd argue is one of the hardest working strikers in the league, getting her finish. She works so hard and she celebrates every goal like it's her last. And like that's the attitude you need when you're playing the WSL. Like if we're talking about like attitudes of the nines, like the player who worked the hardest to get their first goal in the WSL was Izzy Goodwin, because she hit the post so many bloody times in the first half. And then the thing was Prasure and now Ed Maestro, they both trust her because her work ethic is probably a manager's dream in that way, where she's definitely rightfully earned her place as the WSL2 top goal scorer last year, and then has translated that form in some ways, probably not in every way. I'd say her XG is probably matching her output at the moment because she's been a little bit more clinical in the second half of the season. But it was all about Geyoro this game. Geyoro showed her class. You flat track bully, you 1.5 million signing. Where was this when you came into the side? Jesus Christ, the pressing, the engine. Look, the Leicester players looked absolutely knackered. They were getting run rings out of. That three at the back was getting crucified. Yeah, she pressed hard. She set up Izzy Goodwin twice. The one of them got saved by Clark, but the second one, Goodwin passed it back to Geyoro for her goal. And like the fact that she passed it back and Thibaut and Keys are just getting outrun by Geyoro. And Geyoro's not the fastest. She just works harder than everyone, and she's got that mentality. And that's the reason why France trust her so much. And then we had a Yana Fernandez cross that Goodwin pressured the keeper for, and then Godfrey turns in the scramble. And we had Rylov's first goal in LCL colours since moving to Madrid CFF from a Lucia Corrales ball. And who started the attack? It was number 88, Grace Geyoro, who was rightfully player of the match. I think even though she only ended up with one goal as the GCs, she was running the park. She was all over everywhere. She was doing everything. Like that's the performances she was doing for PSG. Like they finally got their first semblance of money's worth out of Geyoro. And I mean, look, they're going to build up next year. It's not like Geyoro is that old. Like the hope is that she is the marquee player. She is the mainstay in the midfield of this team. And if they keep investing, they keep building more, they will end up with players that can support Geyoro to be her best self.
I think you talked about Leicester being tired. I look at this side and I just feel tired. Like I'm looking at Williams starting. I'm looking at Neville starting. And I'm thinking to myself, like, Neville, if Jesus. I'm tired just looking at them, like this is such an
I've been tired at looking at Ashley Neville for the last 3 seasons, to be honest. Like, come on, like let's put her in the second half of this podcast where we talk about a few of our goats. You know what? Ashley Neville can be in those conversations. But ultimately, yeah, this is one to forget about for Leicester. I think they're just going to save up, bank up for this playoff game against whoever it will be. I'm actually not sure who it will be in the WSL2. I don't think it's going to be Birmingham, and I don't think it's going to be Charlton. It'll be Newcastle, which will be an interesting game. This could be the Jordan Nobbs legacy game. Jordan Nobbs versus Neville. Who can do? I mean, obviously Nobbs' legacy goes beyond. I was going to say Jordan Nobbs versus is the magic.
Williams.
Yeah. I mean Williams. Yeah, Williams is a baller too, to be fair. But yes, they have players that need to turn up in this game if they're going to stay in the WSL, because I think it would be again, if they stay in the WSL, we can write it off, say, you know what, next year.
I don't want them in the WSL. I don't want that. I just don't think that they've proven themselves. They obviously haven't invested. I kind
of want Newcastle so they can play at we can play at Tyneside. Tyneside's more of an aura farming stadium as well. Maybe we'd get St James's Park for the big teams. Maybe if they play Arsenal, maybe you might get St James's Park. That would be elite. Yeah, exactly.
No, I want PIF investment in the WSL. Obviously, that's what we're all here for. We're here for some PIF. Saudi Arabian.
Oh my God, Alexia to Newcastle. I knew she was a Toonie. I knew Ella Toonie to Toonie. But yeah, they decide where to go. But that is all we have for the WSL, and that's all we have for part 1 of the podcast.